A foreign international crime boss arrested in Bangkok. Authorities are still untangling blame from one of Bangkok's deadliest public transportation disasters. And go figure yet again, if you are a tourist planning to come to Thailand, immigration is changing the way you have to do that. How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are having a wonderful day. So as you can probably tell, we had to switch up the studio a little bit. We had a bit of an issue with the last building. I don't want to get into it. It's been a nightmare.
Nice.
But here we are, and I have to say, I really enjoy it. But all that aside, once again, Thailand headlines do not disappoint. A few of them are very near and dear to my heart. Things that I've been seeing for a while, and I was like, man, I really don't like this. But it sounds like I'm not the only one. So some things are changing. And of course, if you are planning a trip to Thailand soon, make sure you stick it out through the entire video because things are changing. Once again, you're gonna have to go through a bit of a different process to make sure you get in all good. It's not a huge deal, but it is something you need to be aware of. So let's work our way to that and let's get into our first story. An alleged Nigerian illicit substance network leader arrested in Bangkok. Thai police arrested an alleged Nigerian network leader at a luxury condominium in Bangkok last night, seizing cocaine and assets worth about 700,000 baht. The suspect, identified only as 36-year-old Patrick, I have a feeling that's probably not his real name. Just a guess, let me know what you think, was arrested in Bang Pong Pang subdistrict, Yanawa, yesterday during an operation called Clipping the Wings of the Dodorima gang leader. That is the most Thai secret operation name I have ever heard. If you know, you know. He faces charges of possessing and selling category 2 narcs, cocaine, without permission for commercial purposes and resisting officers during an arrest. Without permission for commercial purposes, does that insinuate that there is a way you can commercially sell that legally? That's something I'm gonna have to dive into. No, that sounded way worse than I intended. That's not what I mean. I'm just curious to know. Police are now expanding their investigation into potential money laundering. Officers seized about 18 grams of the substance, a vehicle worth 200,000 baht, 178,000 baht in cash, $1,900 in US currency, and about 40,000 baht in bank funds, and branded goods worth about 200,000 baht. The total value of seized assets was estimated at about 700,000 baht.
I'll pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
So why does this hit close to home for me? Why did I feel like this was relevant? Well, if you have spent any time in Bangkok, especially down here around the Sukhumvit area, around Asok, I don't know how many times I've been approached by people like this. Granted, I'm not the best with African accents, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them were Nigerian. And I just couldn't believe how blatant these guys were, just walking up and trying to sell you stuff. And even a few times when it happened, when you say no, they can like get kind of aggressive. So I know this has been, a lot of people have been complaining about this for a long time and have been asking the police to do something about it. So I'm glad to know that that's a thing. If you're an American, like the last thing I want to see happen in Thailand is substance abuse being such a problem like it is in so many places in America. Especially if this was my country, I wouldn't want that that being people's first impression, some aggressive dealer coming up and trying to sell them stuff on the street. Now, rolling into our next story, this is another thing that I have seen it's seemingly increased over the past couple years. An alleged attack by a group of motorcycle taxi riders in Pattaya left a young man with facial injuries after a stare led to a confrontation inside a car park early today, June 10th. At the scene, rescue workers found 20-year-old Apatan lying on the road with facial swelling and a cut near his left eyelid. He was reportedly unable to speak clearly. Rescue workers gave him first aid before taking him to the hospital for urgent treatment. A female friend of the injured man who witnessed the incident told police that the group had been drinking at a venue inside the complex before the attack. After they became intoxicated, they paid the bill and left. While walking past a motorcycle taxi queue, the injured man and a group of motorbike taxi riders allegedly stared at each other in a confrontational manner. The friend claimed the riders then called others to the scene, with about 7 to 8 motorcycles arriving shortly afterwards. The group allegedly attacked Apatan, punching and kicking him until he lost consciousness. The alleged attack happened in front of many tourists in the area. The group then reportedly fled on their motorcycles, reported Siam Chan News. So if you've been watching Thailand content, I'm sure you've seen at this point, people getting whooped in the street by groups of people. And like I said, sometimes I do believe that some people need a little bit of reality check. Sometimes people need to be knocked down a peg. I have been that guy. I have gotten knocked down a peg a couple times in my life, but this is just going too far. You know what I mean? Even if somebody quote unquote deserves it, I don't think jumping on someone with your 8 buddies and, soccer kicking somebody in the head when they're on the ground is completely called for. And, I've also seen a few times where, any type of confrontation wasn't necessarily called for. And it's kind of a bummer because a lot of the time, if people see these things happening, they just assume one side or the other and just kind of jump in without knowing what's going on. We've said it many a time on this channel. If you're a foreigner coming to Thailand, just avoid confrontation. It's never going to work out well for you. Even if you are in the right, God forbid something like this happens to you or police gets involved, it's just going to be a whole thing. And it is just absolutely not worth it. With this story, I don't know. I have a tendency to believe there might have been more than a stare, but in all fairness, I have seen fights like that start before. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think there was something a little more going on here? Or do you think it genuinely was just a couple guys staring at each other and now this dude's getting jumped by the motorcycle taxi crew? If you know, you know.
You know what? I'm about to say it. Okay. I don't care that you broke your elbow.
Now, you've probably seen throughout the news outlets over the past few weeks, there was a very unfortunate accident here in Bangkok. People lost their lives. It was a very unfortunate situation. And of course, people wanted answers. People wanted someone to be held accountable, to see who really dropped the ball. You'll know last week we gave you an update on the driver of the train, and now it also looks like the driver of the bus is going to be held accountable for this mishap. A bus driver is among 3 people police plan to levy charges against over the fatal train bus collision on Asok Dindang Road in Bangkok, which killed 8 people and injured more than 30 others on May 16th. The 3 people expected to face charges are the bus driver, the train driver, and the railway barrier operator. The bus driver faces an allegation of reckless driving causing death, serious injury, bodily injury, and property damage. The train driver faces allegations of negligence causing death. The railway barrier operator faces an allegation of negligence causing death, serious injury, or bodily injury, as well as property damage. 6 of the 8 families of those killed in the Thailand train collision on May 16th have received compensation, with charges filed against the train driver and motorists found blocking the tracks. This is completely understandable, right? People want answers. Honestly, when I first heard about this story, that was the first place that my brain went to, was the train driver. If you spend any time in Bangkok, you know how traffic is here. You know how some of the drivers are, especially I've noticed when it comes to the taxis, the bus drivers, they can just be super aggressive sometimes. And I do understand it to an extent. If you're driving in Bangkok traffic every day, I could see it be, getting really easy to just be like, I'm trying to get to where I'm going. I don't want to sit in traffic. And from what we know about this story, that is essentially what happened. Instead of sitting behind the tracks and waiting for the light to change to go through, the bus driver was trying to, creep up and get up there to get through the light as fast as possible. And when those types of things are going on, this is the type of stuff that happens, unfortunately. So for the families involved with the victims, I am happy to hear that, people are going to be held accountable. A huge thing in America that I think is really good for people that drive vehicles for a living. As truck drivers, we get safety incentives. You end up getting paid more if you have a good safety record. I'm not sure if that's a thing here. If it's not, hopefully this will push, those regulations to get a little more dialed in, just to make sure people are more safe, especially when it comes to buses, trains, things like that, because of course they're full of people. So when something bad happens, something really bad happens, unfortunately. Now, rolling into our last story, I'm noticing a bit of a trend here. It seems like every week when we do our news updates, there is something new coming out from immigration. If you've spent time in Thailand, this is just part of the game. A lot of things have changed in Thailand, so immigration is trying to get things dialed in to make sure stuff works for everybody. And now, if you're planning on coming soon, there is a different way that you have to go about making sure you can come through immigration all good and you don't have any issues. So Let's get into it. Thailand to replace paper arrival cards with mobile immigration app. Thailand's Immigration Bureau has launched a trial of a new mobile application designed to streamline entry registration for foreign nationals, with a full rollout scheduled for August of 2026. The app, called THIM, or Thailand Immigration Management, is available for download on both iOS and Android. It was announced Saturday, June 6th, with the Commissioner of the Immigration Bureau leading its development. The THIM app Thailand initiative is framed around balancing national security supervision with more convenient immigration processing for foreign visitors across all visa types. The app allows foreign nationals to register entry information by photographing their passport, with the system reading and recording the data automatically. Users then fill in their place of stay, travel details, and the reasons for their visit to complete the Thailand Digital Arrival Card, or the TDAC. The Bureau says the full entry process can be completed in under 3 minutes. The app also supports group travel, allowing entry information for up to 10 people to be submitted simultaneously, which the Bureau says reduces processing time to an average of 3 minutes per person. All data will be stored in an immigration information system developed in partnership with a private technology company. The Bureau said the company was chosen on the basis of its global credibility in system security. So I'm not really sure how I feel about this yet. If you don't know, Thailand, when it comes to a lot of administrative systems, a lot of this stuff is still on paper. There's still plenty of things that you have to go fill out in person, or you got to do by hand. When it comes to, websites, apps, things like that for filling out information or signing up for stuff, whatever, there is a lot more push to start to go that way. Something that happens with that, though, you will remember, if you're my age, unfortunately, when the internet first really started to become an everyday thing in America, and registering online and all that stuff became a thing. It was almost more of a nightmare because none of the apps or the websites worked particularly well. I hope that is not a thing with this. Granted, with the slow rollout, I do think that'll give them a chance to kind of dial everything in. An unfortunate reality with the arrival card right now is, since it's a website, there are fake websites that come up and charge people money to fill out their arrival card. If you are ever doing that and there's anybody trying to charge you to do it, it is a fake site. The arrival card is completely free. So I am happy to see that some things are being streamlined, but let me know what you think down below. If you've spent time in Thailand, I'm sure you know. Do you think this is going to be a seamless process? Do you think this is going to make things easier? Do you think this is going to stay around? You think it's going to be a thing forever moving forward? If you know, things tend to change when it comes to Thailand immigration. I would imagine if this comes out and it's not much help, or it ends up being just more of a nightmare trying to keep track of everything, I don't think it will last very long. Understandably, some people are concerned uploading their passport information and all that stuff. They want to make sure the app is secure. So that is something I will also be keeping an eye on. This is one of those ones I feel like we just got to kind of wait and see.
Oh no, I'm not brave enough for politics.
So that is another week of Thailand headlines. There is never a shortage. As always, if there's a story you want to see us cover here on the channel, maybe even more of a deep dive into any, big, crazy crime stories, you name it, we'd be happy to do it. Let me know down in the comments below. If you did make it this far in the video, thank you so much for hanging out. If you did enjoy, you'd like to see more, you know what to do. Subscribe button is down below. It does help out the channel big time. Everybody says it. I know you're probably sick of hearing it, but it's true. If not, that's okay too. Watching is free, and I appreciate you doing it. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you in the next one.